The Forth and Clyde Canal Community Project aims to encourage local people to make use of the canal for a variety of leisure and recreational purposes. And since 1990, they have been providing a range of opportunities for people to become involved in canal events.
I became involved about 3 years ago with the canal project as their canoe instructor. They asked us to set up a canoe club in the Maryhill area and to train local people to become instructors, which is now up and running, and we have our own instructors in the area.
My involvement with the Forth and Clyde Canal project really came about through my interest in canoeing. I was looking for other people that I could canoe with and a place to canoe. So I heard about the Forth and Clyde Canal project, where they were wanting to clean up the canal and make it a much more interesting place to be for the community, but also introduce canoeing for the local community. So I became involved with it that way, found out about it, went along, found it was really good fun. There was a good crowd, seemed to be quite good for kids as well.
Well, I've been involved with the majority of events that have been held through the Canal Development Officer. That's events on the canal for the past 3 years. So I'm just a general dog's body and do anything as is required. Sometimes we've got to dress up as teddy bears, but that's just part and parcel of the fun. And it's a great event, no doubt about it. And hopefully that will continue for a long time to come yet.
A lot more local people are now taking an interest in what's happening in the canal. And even over the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen a marked improvement of the environments around the canal because there is a lot more people starting to use it, starting to respect it.
It was last year I was a volunteer on the conservation group, and this year I got the chance to run the conservation group. This year so far we've had a very successful clean-up at Maryhill Locks in May. We won the team category award for BT Environment Week, which was £1,000, which has gone into environmental improvements through the canal conservation group, just sprucing up the whole canal, mainly around Maryhill Locks, which is our main focus, because that's an area that we've been working with British Waterways, because they'll be entering it for a national lock competition later in the year. The canal is in need of a lot of attention. It's been neglected for a lot of years, and with my work with my volunteers in the conservation group, there's definitely an improvement in the environment around the canal, and it's good to see, and the locals do appreciate it as well. They come up and say, it's definitely, it's looking better, a lot cleaner.
Until the canal project arrived, there was people were ditching rubbish into it, but now they're starting to take a pride in their canal. And what we want is more people to actually use the facilities of the canal as a recreational sort of area, and it's an ideal situation.
The Forth and Clyde Canal Community Project is an urban aid funded scheme sponsored by Glasgow City Council and supported by Strathclyde Regional Council. And it's based here in Community Central Halls in Maryhill.
I am the Canal Development Officer, and I job share with my colleague, and our main aim is to really make sure that the project develops in a sensible way and gets the best out of the money that we have to spend on the canal. The Forth and Clyde Canal project is important because it provides a service for local people and it shows them how to enjoy their canal. So the main aim of the project is to encourage local people to use the canal for leisure and recreation purposes. So it is very important because it means it's being used in a safe and creative way. Well, the sort of things that we organise are very wide-ranging. We organise canoe games, people are able to do canoeing on the canal. We are renovating an old scow at the moment, which we've brought out of the canal. We have nature activities for children, guided walks, and really anything that people want to get involved in, we can organise for them. Local people should use the canal because it's such an excellent resource right on their doorstep. It's a fabulous area of urban countryside, and a lot of people don't realise it's there. They go past it in the bus and they don't even notice it. So our job is to try and encourage people to use it just because it is such a good place to be. Ultimately, I'd like to see the canal open as a waterway again, but I think that's a long time in the future. At the moment, we just want people to make use of the canal as it stands and to get the best out of it. Well, we've had a lot of people out doing conservation work on it, especially around the Maryhill Locks area. So we've been involved in painting and litter picking and planting shrubs and bushes, and generally just making it look a nicer place to go and visit. The more people that use the canal, the safer it will become. We like to think of safety in numbers, and a busy canal is a safe canal, so that's the main reason that we're trying to encourage a lot of people to use it. I think people's attitude towards the canal has changed as well. It used to be a negative place, and there was a lot of discussions about drownings, but now it's, you know, what events happening down the canal rather than you know, the negative aspects of it.
The building of the Forth and Clyde Canal started in 1768, and it was officially opened on the 28th of July 1790. It's 35 miles long, and it has a 2 3/4 mile branch which takes it right into the heart of Glasgow. The canal was a base around which a number of industries developed. Iron foundries exploited the nearness of raw materials, and glass production was aided by sand quarrying along the main line of the canal. With timberworks, brewers and distillers, those were among the main industries that accounted for much of the canal's traffic. There were also a number of other workshops and factories using the canal, and these included flour mills, paintworks, shipbuilding, and even a match factory. The canal provided a water supply and a mode of transport for industry in the area. The fact that these advantages were to be found in a city centre location meant that a willing workforce was also in plentiful supply. As well as playing its part in industry in the area, the Forth and Clyde Canal was also used for cruising. The canal company introduced their passenger service at the beginning of the 19th century. The boats were towed by horses, so the journey was relatively slow in today's terms, at around 6 miles per hour. Cruises on the canal were popular up until the beginning of the Second World War on boats such as the Fairy Queen, the May Queen, and the Gypsy Queen. World War I saw a decline in commercial traffic. The outbreak of World War II and the breaking up of boats such as the Gypsy Queen really heralded the end of the canal, and after the war, the canal steadily deteriorated as its traffic declined. Finally, on the 1st of January 1963, the canal was closed. Over the years, it became full of rubbish and overgrown with weeds. The public really used it as a dump. There were demands to fill in the canal and remove once and for all the dangers it obviously represented to the local community. However, a number of people realised the potential of the canal and thought it would be a waste of an excellent resource if the canal was to be filled in. The dangers obviously had to be considered, but it was felt that if the canal was to become busier, it would also become safer. There have been many improvements over the past few years. Money is being spent now on the canal, and its positive aspects have become more important than its negative ones. More people are using the waterway, and it's becoming safer.
I think the canal is definitely a safer place for people to use. It's now safer because there's more people using it. There's increased water safety. Courses been run. There's a 3-week project every year run with international volunteers who come along and take groups and tell them all about water safety. By taking the local kids out canoeing, they realise that the water is a friend as well as an enemy. They also get used to being around the canal. At the end of the 80s, there was a Glasgow Canal project where they reopened 12 miles of the canal to navigation. You can now sail from Spears Wharf right through to Kirkintillich. To do this, they had to raise some of the bridges, the road bridges that go across the canal. They've renovated some of the bascule bridges that open. They've upgraded the towpath, and they've also reinstated some of the locks. British Waterways have done a lot of work at Maryhill Locks, and that flight of lock will soon hopefully be working again. The canal project has been involved with improvement along the canal by having the groups go out and use the canal, and the conservation group do a lot of work down at Maryhill Locks. At Wester Commons, there's been a community woodland planted. This has been in conjunction with several other projects in Glasgow, such as Treewise and Scottish conservation projects. Local schools have been involved in planting thousands of trees there this winter, and that will hopefully be long-term improvements. One of the areas nearby the canal. We also have heritage projects such as the old scow, which is a barge that was used to pull goods along the canal, and we've raised it from one of the basins and it'll be restored. We've also got other user groups who come along maybe for a day, and we can organise a day's event for them. We organise summer events, walks along the canal, and anything that people want to do along the canal. This project is formally going to run for another 3 years. We would like to see the community taking it over and continuing the project. The more groups that get involved, the more groups that we can set up, then the more chance there is that the canal will remain used and will be increasingly used in the future.
The Forth and Clyde Canal Community Project wants to encourage local folk to make the most of the canal as a resource as it stands, but with the ultimate aim of it being a busy waterway once again. The canal is an excellent area for walking, for jogging, cycling, canoeing and fishing, and it's a splendid venue for a wide range of leisure and educational pursuits.
The canal's got a lot to offer local people because it is such an excellent resource, and the events that our project put on, and a number of other groups as well, make it a really good place to visit.
Yes, I would recommend local people to use the canal. It's a very important resource right on their own doorstep. It's very accessible. A lot of people don't realise the canal actually is there and how long it is, the engineering feats that are along the canal and the importance of all the wildlife there.
I'd definitely recommend folk to get involved in the canal. It's worthwhile and enjoyable, and as I said, it does make a difference, and the folk do notice, the local people do notice it and are always, there saying, you're doing a good job. So it's very fulfilling.
When the Teddy Bears picnic was mooted, people laughed at it, but it was a tremendous success. So it's things like that. So if anybody has any ideas, come forward and we'll work on it, and we'll let them know whether it can be done or not. And it's as simple as that.
So, if you would like to find out more about the wide range of opportunities that the Forth and Clyde Canal Community Project has to offer, you can contact us at this address.